Blessings and peace to everybody out there. I'm Christ. I am Disciple watching my channel. We're going straight into it because I don't have much time. As you can see, Free Palestine, shut it down is what you do to flex your power. Now, people talk about boycotting areas and boycotting organization. That's cool, but I need to start talking about institutions now. First of all, from Grant, who was expelled from Columbia, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. He was the president of the Columbia Student Workers Union. And also he was the president of Columbia University, who was also protesting the genocide going on in Palestine and the fact that the university was working with institutions in Palestine, which found in settler areas, as universities in settler areas, as well as supporting the research into the military applications of this for the people of Palestine. So Grant was expelled from Columbia University. He's taking legal action on this, and he goes into the real story of it. But I want to say something. Since the U.S. government has basically levied an assault on Columbia University, taking away $400 million in grant money to the university, federal grant money, sending this as a warning to other universities. This is what the universities should do in protest of this. And everybody's going to start protesting very soon. The universities need to do what is called a shutdown strike. That means an understanding between the faculty and the students is we're going to shut down these universities until the government redacts its order to remove funding from the universities. This is the way how the universities move. This gets a little broader than Palestine, but nonetheless. Also, in these strikes, the universities should demand the release of Khalil because he has been speaking his free rights. So this is a way to get the protest to go bigger. It doesn't really matter if there are Zionists in the faculty of the university who will be fighting back against this. The entire fucking university on the grounds, if the Zionists and they want to go to work, fuck them, right? Let them go. But basically shut down the fucking university, all the research, everything, every wing. If this is an attack on Columbia, so Columbia needs to hit back hard, and the way to hit back hard is just to shut the fucking university down. In addition to that, it must expose all the faculty who are directly working with Israel and have connections to Israel. It must also, in the strikes, expose the people in the university pushing for a police clampdown and so on. Official letters need to, and specifics. You guys need to now, they're targeting specific universities, they're targeting specific people. It's time to push back the same way. We're going to target the government. We're going to target specific people in the university. We're going to target specific channels through which these unethical things are happening. Okay. Now, I know you guys already singled out the person in the university who ratted on Khalil and had the DHS come down on him. And so far, DHS can't do anything with Khalil, but they can torture him. They can do more kinds of things because they have him in a specific area. And he is Palestinian. So this is a direct attack by Zionists who have formed the state of Israel on Palestinians once again, trying to deny them the freedom of speech. They've been doing this consistently all over the world. Where Rashida Tlaib talks, they try to shout her down. When Khalil talks, they try to shut him down because he's Palestinian. So they're literally attacking Palestinians. This is an Israeli attack on Palestinians right now going on. And they're using Hamas. And quite frankly, using Hamas is the dumbest thing you could ever do because Hamas is actually on the right side of history as far as I'm concerned. So your plan of action is to shut the university down. This means now the certain people in the staff of the university will want the university to keep running. But it's time to cripple Columbia. It's time to flex your muscles. It's time to withdraw your support from institutions which are under assault by tyrannical governments and fascist governments. It is clear that Donald Trump has decided to go the way of fascism and has colluded with all of Congress, all of the Senate, has colluded with a foreign body in the Israeli lobbyists and also the American Israeli people in key positions in the country of the United States of America. They are not the majority, they are a minority, but he's decided to collude with them against the people of the United States of America. Besides protest, what you guys need to also do are file lawsuits for the unlawful removal of funding, which has nothing to do with these protests, to Columbia University. It is time to strike back. They have not seen and they have never seen the epicness of the strike back of the people and the power of the people. You are the majority. You have the power. Don't let them fool you and let them see the palace. First of all, to my Jewish brothers and sisters striking back, I applaud you. You're leading the charge once again. You will not back down, and I love it. Now, this is what I want to say to you and to Grant and to anyone else who's hearing this. What is very important here is not only that you lead the charge, but every time they try to intimidate and cripple you, you come at them harder with even greater force. The mainstream media won't cover it, but it's up to you. Now, I want to just say, while this is going on, the veterans are also striking. They have also taken to the street in protest. You need to join forces. I am telling you right now, the veterans are pissed and they're growing in numbers. You will have support from them. You will have support from the unions. The unions have been against the genocide in Gaza. The unions have taken a stand on this. You have support from the unions. Finally, you need to associate yourself with the political parties who are against this genocide in Gaza. That includes the libertarians, that includes Bernie Sanders, that includes Jill Stein, that includes Claudia de la Cruz and Company Limit. You need to consolidate your resistance now. We need lawyers to back these people. We need law enforcement officials to back these people. That means you do not agree with what is happening and being the directives sent to you in the police service. If you do not like this, it is time for us to consolidate everything and to join together. Put down your police badge for a minute and join us. If the police decide to go with brutal strategies against, you can be the counter to them. We need a counter. We cannot be lambs to the slaughter being killed off like this. That means it involves the involvement of law enforcement. It involves the involvement of judges. By the way, the judge who they're trying to target right now, who is absolutely in the right on this whole issue and is doubling down on that, judges and the Judges Association, the legal fraternity, need to make a statement about violation of laws. We need solidarity as much as possible so that they cannot target individuals as they did Khalil and they're trying to do to this judge. They have the resources of the mainstream media at their disposal to create narratives. Well, fuck them and fuck their media and fuck all those Jews who are trying to push an agenda to shut us up because they are the foreign entity that have occupied our country. Instead of occupy Wall Street, instead of occupy anything, we are now saying, shut it down. From here on in, we need a shut it down campaign. If they fuck around with us in any way, shape, or form, we withdraw our money from anything that they have. I don't give a fuck what it is. We withdraw our support from anything they have, and we start withdrawing from their schools, and we will form our own fucking schools if we have to. We will withdraw from their education system that is trying to indoctrinate us. We will withdraw from everything. We need to shut it down. We run this fucking country. Without us, no country runs. You have to stand like that. You need to take positions where these people will begin to realize the game's over. Start shutting it down from inside. Start the protests and unrest. Now, they will try to brutalize you. And that is why I'm saying, if you're going to go in the front lines like that, go in the front lines with some sense. Bring people who are versed in combat. Bring people who can protect you, like bouncers going into a club. You need protection. And these people can work incognito inside and in between the crowds. They can look for the people who are trying to stir up trouble who are not part of you. They can also look for the people, the legal law enforcement agencies and so on, who are trying to cause trouble. And they can either seate the situation, normalize the situation, or when the trouble starts, they interact with them first. Okay? And knowing their rights and proceedings, they know they can actually come do a citizen arrest on a mob of cops. They can also know a strategic way how to deal with these cops. You need people in combat. You need people who are versed in that to be able to de-escalate those situations, make sure those situations are under control. All right. When you have people inside of there to do that, then the terrorism cannot happen. Counterterrorism, people plowing their cars into stuff. You can get intelligence. The police can get a perimeter on the area versus the police. You could have PIs, private investigators, etc., combing the area. You could even have special forces combing the area to make sure people versed in special forces and stuff strategically that there's no sabotage going on in the protests, especially in large protests. So you have protection. It's very important to have protection at this time, because a lot of crazy things are going to try and happen. So instead of having the civil rights protests where, you're not coordinated, you don't have special forces on your side, you don't have military on your side, you don't have policing on your side, a certain sect of them at least, you need to incorporate these elements, people who support you, into your protest. So they're much more organized to deal with any sort of strident situation. So you can actually have a peaceful protest. So that if police start to do formations, or if police are just there standing by, nothing's happening, cool. As soon as the situation's about to happen, one of the people who are specialized in that can go in between that situation, start talking down that situation, start dealing with it immediately. So that you have problems which are supposed to arise, don't arise. Okay, instead of people trying to fire, for instance, projectiles and bombs and stuff into a peaceful protest, you have people combing the perimeter, combing to look for mischief and stuff on the outside. So then they catch the person who is going to do that. They bring them to the police immediately. And if the police want to release them, whatever, but they say, hey, this person has a weapon here, blah, blah, blah. And so you'll be able to identify the situation, deal with the situation immediately. Do you understand? You need that. But however, I must say, shut it down is what needs to happen. The universities, all of the government assisted universities, UCR, UCLA, all the UC universities, even the private universities, in solidarity with this. And again, this is going to happen. It's just when, I don't know. But this is an attack on the universities. And if the university staff, the majority of the university staff realize this, you need to shut down I don't care what research you're doing in the university, how important it is, whatever. Officially, you shut down the universities in protest to what is happening here. And it's about time you guys strike anyway. You need to couple with your unions as you do this and strike. Shut down everything. Everything. Now, with respect to people who are losing their Social Security, the veterans who don't have their funding, the hillbillies, everybody, you guys need to realize these people don't care about you and they're moving in a different direction. Again, protests are the first step. The second step you guys need to do next is shut everything down. If you're a working person, shut down. Don't go to work. If you are a person who is receiving benefits like a veteran or whatever, the way to do this now for you is to join in solidarity with the people who shut down things and take to the streets. It's about time everybody starts taking to the streets. Remember, the veterans, your job when they take to the streets, all the specialized forces and stuff is to gather intel. Some of you will be marching and protesting, and some of you will be on the peripheries of the different places, making sure no shady shit happens. Nobody gets hurt while the protests are happening. You guys need to file official protests to the given state or the governor's office or whatever, what day you're going to protest. You shut down everything. Now, if you can't file anything to the governor's office, because they in the governor's office also shut down shit and nobody's working, that's even fine. We need to have a day of protest where all working people, because this is concerning working people. This is an attack on working people. This is an attack on the students of America. This is an attack on the school system. This is an attack on the healthcare system. This is an attack on every single facet of the U.S. Your Social Security, your pensions. They intend to take your pension from you or make you pay extra money to Wall Street for your pensions to keep your pension and your security there. They're attacking everything right now that has to do with you. This is a wider situation. And they're doing this because they want to fund Israel. So if you guys don't hate Israel by now and want to see it dismantled, you'll never hate it. I see some pro-Israeli people trying to speak about Israel. When I check their files on X, they happen to be Zionist. All right. And they're not being affected. They're not losing their Social Security. They're not losing their tenure in a university. They're not the ones losing the funding. They're not the ones being expelled from schools. They're not the ones not getting veteran pension benefits. So it's time for us to take a stand. Fight. Love. Win. Restore the Snyderverse. How it feels today in the Snyderverse family around the world. Restore the Snyderverse. This is Super Tuber Eddie. All right, so I have a quick update for you guys based on Restore the Snyderverse. Let me see if I can find that update. There's a lot of love for the Snyderverse right now. They have killed UN international humanitarian workers in Gaza. They have killed now almost 1,000 people in Gaza, bombing Gaza and trying to go into it. They have attacked Yemen, but Yemen is attacking them right now. I believe after Yemen replied to America, America took that as an initiative for Israel to start bombing Gaza. So they're bombing Gaza as we speak. They have killed lots of people, and they've also now killed UN workers and UN personnel in Gaza. So they're attacking the UN. That's why I said, before I go on, I actually made a post, but I didn't say this. It is time for us to isolate the United States and Israel in the United Nations. Now, I just heard that the president of the United Nations, he's talking about some rape charges against hostages, Israeli hostages, and bullshit like that. Listen, buddy, first of all, we know that's not true. But second of all, it is also important to realize that some of those Israeli hostages are not re-entering the IDF. They have permanently left the IDF. Nobody's reporting on this. They don't talk about the ones that went back into the IDF. They're not talking about the ones who have left the IDF and they're not coming back. We also have reports that United Nations, and I'm just holding this against them right now if they don't do this. And by the way, I'll need to also write a letter to my own government of my country asking them what is their stance on Gaza, what is their stance on Palestine. Are they willing to vote in favor of a Palestinian state tomorrow? But it's very important to understand right now that the United Nations needs to go and they need to vote. They need to vote on the removal of Israel from the United Nations because Israel is anti-United Nations. They've been killing a lot of peacekeepers. They've been killing in Lebanon. They have been killing a lot of UN workers in Gaza and so on. And we're talking international UN workers, by the way. They have infringed on, they have blown away, they've destroyed every single international law. They right now currently are doing collective punishment on the Palestinians, and they're bombing indiscriminately. And they're looking to ethnically cleanse and to forcibly remove the Palestinians from their homeland. So all of these are absolute violations of international law, not to mention genocide. So it's about time Israel is suspended or removed from the UN assembly until it obeys all the rules that are given by the ICJ. The unlawful occupation, etc., the brutal occupation, etc., give up all the hostages, etc. This needs to be the stance by the United Nations, and it needs to happen now. The other member that needs to be removed from the United Nations, one of the founding members of the United Nations, by the way, is the United States of America. Just because you funded the United Nations, just because you did something nice, doesn't mean that you deserve to stay. And so The United States has been an obstructionist in this. They have been a funder of genocide, and now they are participating in the genocide as we speak. So, on those grounds of violation of international law, etc., by the ICJ, until the United States of America complies to all the rules and regulations by the ICJ, it does not, because it's a member of the United Nations. If it doesn't comply, then it is suspended until and herewith it complies with those things. It needs to be, those two countries need to be removed from the United Nations. The next one to go will be Great Britain if it does not comply. Now, here's what's happening. You remove the United States, you remove Israel. Then you do a vote on the Security Council to ensure the following: that a ceasefire is made, that the removal of Israeli forces and occupation by settlers of the 1967 borders are maintained, and finally, that the state of Palestine is brought into existence. Now, these are very important steps that the United States has vetoed, and has tried to block, and has tried to frustrate for the longest while. So the only way that, and since the United States is in direct violation of all international law and so on, whether the ICJ wants to, whether South Africa wants to bring this case before the ICJ or not, the United Nations Security Council needs to vote without the presence of the United States there. I know it's a permanent member there, but because it's suspended, it will not be able to have power to vote. So that removes them. We're not replacing anybody. We just have the vote. Now, if anybody vetoes the vote, you can abstain from the vote. I think the UK may choose to abstain. But anybody who tries to veto that vote, which can happen, it is very important that the person who vetoes explains exactly why they're doing so. Now, I said what I said. This is the measures that need to be taken. Now, I know that the United States has directly threatened the ICC judges. The ICC judges, that's in breach of international law, and there are consequences for that. The final vote that the United Nations needs to do to isolate the United States and to isolate Israel, no matter how unreasonable it may seem, is the next step is to halt, suspend all trade with the United States and Israel. They want to isolate themselves from the world? Fine. We're going to isolate them from the world. So the United States and Israel, all trade needs to be halted by all member states of the United Nations with Israel and the United States of America until herewith they comply with every single suggestion that the ICJ has made. First, they need to vote on the ICJ. If I think the United Nations has done that already, and it was an enormous amount of votes. So on the consensus of the United Nations, they need to act on that. The second thing that needs to happen is all diplomatic relations with the United States and Israel need to be removed immediately. Not diplomatic, sorry. No, the conversation needs to continue. But all diplomats inside of Israel or the United States of America, and that includes the United Nations headquarters, everyone needs to move from there. There needs to be an exodus of all diplomats from the United States and from Israel. It may sound like an epic thing to do. It may sound like an incredible thing to do, seeing that Europe is so dependent on the United States. But it is about time Europe forms its own policies. It's about time Europe stands on its own 2 feet. It's about time Europe does not depend on other nations and needs to make independent decisions. And this is the decision Europe, the EU, needs to make. This is a decision Russia and China will make. Even though Russia is right now cutting out a deal with the United States of America, all of that needs to halt until the United States of America and Israel start complying with international law. I know that sounds crazy, but the drastic measures call for drastic times, and it is up to the United Nations to finally hold there. And on top of that, all of the Arab states that are supposed to be doing business with America and Israel, I don't care who you are. You can be Turkey. You can be Jordan. It's time for you to stop those dealings and to suspend them until Israel has finished, completely complied. The first thing that needs to be pushed through is the ceasefire. The second thing needs to be the continuation of the hostage exchanges. Already, an Israeli hostage has been killed by bombings by the Israeli IDF, as Hamas has reported. Hamas has been reporting everything. I don't care what you think about Hamas. Hamas is not bombing 4,000, 40,000, 50,000 people. I don't care what you think about Hezbollah. Hezbollah is not the one bombing Lebanon for no fucking reason at all. They're in the middle of a ceasefire and they're bombing places in Lebanon and killing people just to create terror. And I don't care what you think of the Syrian government right now. And I don't think very much of them. But that is no reason for Israel to be bombing Syria like it has been bombing Syria. No reason at all. None. Israel got weapons and is bombing Syria. This is terrorism at its max. Syria has never been at war with Israel at this present point in time. Even the Assad regime has not been at war with Israel. Israel has been occupying Syrian lands, and now Israel is bombing Syria. So, having all this been said and done, what we need to do is this. This is what the United Nations mandate is. And the people, you the people, I'm only telling you this because you're the people of these countries. And now it's up to you to become vocal about it. With respect to the Russia and Ukraine war, which kind of invariably means that Russia will have to do back short channel dealings with the United States. They can't do open dealings with the United States if they're going to do anything at all. I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump is not going to try to get a ceasefire deal with you. I'll tell you why. He's talking rhetoric, but he's arming Ukraine in the background. They are looking to do a coup attempt, an attempt on you while you are looking for peace. Don't buy it, Mr. Putin. Don't buy what they're trying to do. On one hand, they're trying to say one thing while they buy time to arm up Ukraine to fight again. Do not go for the ceasefire. In fact, Donald Trump is pleading for the lives of those people because they're special forces. That's why. And they're notoriously difficult to destroy because they are really skilled at what they do. And some of them are not Ukrainian. He's begging you to save their lives because they're key. Annihilate them. They're not supposed to be in cursed territory. Mr. Putin, do not hesitate on this. Annihilate them. And tell the United States, you have no negotiation power in this deal. We have it. And then proceed towards what's the name of the place? Kyiv. Proceed towards Kyiv. And if you got to take it, take it. Listen, you've been too hesitant, Mr. Putin. You needed to make assertive measures and assertive moves because these people, once they're alive in any way, shape, or form, they're looking to hurt you. And the U.S. is backing them. And Donald Trump's policy is not much different to Biden's because he's continuing the same thing that Biden's doing in Palestine. And even though he indicated, it seemed as though he was doing the opposite, but meanwhile, he was arming Israel to do what they're doing right now. And he intends to try to weaken and take you down. He's trying to take down Russia because he knows if he can take down Russia, everything else will tumble. Russia's the only power that can match the military might of the United States of America. We don't know for China because we don't know, but we know Russia is a direct threat to the United States militarily. That's why they want to break up Russia into individual states. That's why they talk democracy all the time to these other nations. They're trying to destroy Russia so they can get more power. The whole idea is consolidation of power to Israel, to the Zionists. It's not the American. They're using the American empire to do their bidding, to weaken the world so that they can rule the world. That's how the game goes, Mr. Putin. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The UN needs to do what they're doing, and Russia and China need to lead it. Russia and China need to make sure those resolutions are enforced. Now, the United States might say, we're going to go to a world war then. Well, fine. Russia's has no problem with a world war. The last couple of world wars that Russia fought, Russia won. So Russia doesn't have a problem with a world war. Okay? So, I'm going to say this. The United Nations needs to take the ultimate and penalize the United States and Israel. If you don't have the guts to do it, get the fuck out the United Nations as a representative. And that goes for everybody, including my country's heads of state and those people who represent in the United Nations. Barbados has been outspoken on these issues. Shout out to the Barbados Prime Minister. And I just want to say I congratulate her on what she's saying. We need more tougher people in the Caribbean to speak out. I heard nothing from Jamaica. I've heard nothing from Trinidad. And Trinidad is the country, the birthplace of the International Criminal Court. Mr. A.N.R. Robinson is the person who formed that and constructed it from Trinidad. He's one of the architects. So I am surprised that Trinidad has very little to say on this issue. And I am very much embarrassed to say that. And it's about time Trinidad steps up and says unequivocally what needs to happen. Furthermore, I also want to say that I applaud South Africa for taking the stand and leading the charge. I want to see discipline. The judges who are threatened in the International Criminal Court, and the judge from Uganda who has been put in charge of the ICJ. Uganda, has a close relationship with Israel. This is why she voted the way how she votes all the time. It's because they have a close relationship with Israel, in which Israel has helped their government many times. This is why they're pro-Israel. But it's very important and very nasty operations, by the way. But anyway, having said that, she has been promoted to the head of the ICJ. Whoever is pulling the strings in the background of the United Nations, which I believe is the Israeli lobby. If the United Nations does not do these two things, it's going to be now in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to pressure the United Nations, as we're going to pressure the United States, as we're going to pressure Israel to do these things. All the people in the Middle East, all the peoples of the world, the peoples of the Middle East and the Middle Eastern countries, the people of the United States of America, the people of Europe, the people of Africa, all peoples of the world who do not condone what Israel and the United States of America are doing in Palestine, what the Ukrainians are trying, what the United States and the Ukrainians are trying to do to Russia. If you see the injustice here, you understand the story, then it's time for all the peoples of the world to start putting protests, marches, strikes, and it's about time they feel your power. To all the peoples of the world, listen to me carefully. You run the world. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but it is not. Without you, this world will not run. You are the labor. You are the purchasing power. And that's huge. They have not been able to replace you with machines. You have the power. So listen to me. Listen to me. It is time you protest and strike. I know you need your daily bread. I know you need to be employed. But listen to me carefully. It's an exchange. They need your labor to make their daily bread. They need your dollars to be able to make money so they can sell back to you. They need you as much as you need them. But they need you more because you are collective. To fight back, you do so with your wallets. Don't buy from them. To fight back, you have to do so with your actions. Don't work for them. Go to the streets. Protest. Instead of going to work, stand, fight back. Show them they can't even live a day without you. And your voice is the most important voice. It's time to strike. Peoples of the world, what is happening in Palestine is now happening in the United States of America. What happens in the United States of America, generally speaking, happens all over the world. They're coming for you next. Taking front before in front takes you. It's time for massive strikes and massive protests. Again, a lot of you have been programmed and brainwashed to think that they don't need you, but you need them. It's not true. It's not true. It's a two-way street. And the truth is, they need you more than you need them. So it's time to sacrifice. And even if it has to die for what you believe in. For the entrepreneurs out there, for the business people in the business community who do not like what is happening, to the oligarchs who do not like what is happening, you also have a role to play. You have something that the average person doesn't have. You have influence, you have funding, and most importantly, you have a way of organizing the voice unlike anybody else can. You can get into diplomatic circles. You can speak and mix among people that the average person can't. So your influence is much stronger in the higher levels. Now, if you don't mix with these people, I don't care if you agree with them. I don't care if you fraternize with them or not, which more than likely you don't, which is why you took your stand. But you play a key role. Instead of people in the foreground seeing this, you in the background can impose your influence and will, explain to those people at the top what is coming, and ask them if they can live with the consequences. You're there to threaten them. Send a message to them as a threat. And tell them that you are willing to fund that to its completion. We need to send a strong message, and it can happen. And the more they pressure us is the more united we should become. When I talked about the Restore the Snyderverse campaign, it created within me a resolve. We know it's inevitable that the Snyderverse will resolve, and we know also it's inevitable that Free Palestine will happen. We are in the final closing stages of Free Palestine, for those of you who don't know. This thing's going to wrap up within 2 years, if so much. We are that close to the end. And the reason is because America and Israel have become desperate. They've revealed their hand, and they're so desperate now because everything is unraveling so fast that they're doing unlawful laws, and they're breaking laws left, right, and center. They're breaking their own laws, their own country's laws. Israel is breaking its own country's laws to implement what it's doing right now. And in fact, inside of Israel right now, as we speak, there are strikes going on, there are protests going on, and even Binchet, the head of Binchet, is right now, the former leader of Binchet, has accused the government of conducting things in an illegitimate, illegal manner. And he has no part, he will have no part with it. So inside of Israel, there is turmoil and unrest. Y'all don't know that because, again, the major media is not talking on these things, all right? The people whose the families whose relatives are hostage still in Gaza are creating pandemonium right now. There's a lot of shit going on there. And then on top of that, we have an anti-establishment protest that's happening. We have a lot of anti-Zionists in Israel. For those of you who don't know, it's a sizable amount. It's not a big amount. There's a whole sect of Jewish people, Orthodox Jews, who are anti-Zionist, period. But then in addition, and they're mostly in East Jerusalem, but they're all over the country. And then in addition, they get persecuted all the time. People don't know about this, that they get beaten up and they get put in prison and all kinds of crazy shit happens. Then you have the Christian movement inside of Israel, that they're constantly abused. Okay, but then on top of that, we also have, especially particularly concentrated in Tel Aviv, we have a lot of anti-establishment Jews. Some of them are Zionists. Some of them are anti-Zionists. I don't care which side they are. They're the resistance. Okay? And there's a tremendous amount of Jews in Israel itself proper. Some of them have left. But in Israel proper, who are absolutely detest what is going on in Israel, but their mouths are strapped because, as the school teacher said, if you try to say anything against this government right now, you can get, just abducted and you could be put in prison without charge. And it happened to him, and he was able to get his way out of the courts. The same thing happening in the United States right now with Khalil. Is the same thing happening in Israel. It's been happening as standard protocol. The settlers have gone mad. They're gone broken loose, and they're doing whatever they want. And the far right government is doing. So this is why it's so extreme. It's not even. They're not trying to move slick anymore. And Netanyahu definitely wants a war with Iran. Iran is setting up for war. Is getting ready to fight a war with the United States. And it's very important, again, that our veterans and our soldiers and our young people, Biden already started off a draft. He officiated the draft. They're looking to drag people, just like what happened in Ukraine. They either kill you or they drag you off to the battlefield. This is what they plan on doing. It's very draconian because they're very desperate. This is the end game here. Okay? And this is where you get to flex your muscles as people. You get to show, oh, no. You don't get it. You don't get it, leadership. You don't get it, government. We gave you this authority. And now we are taking it back. Okay? And it's important that the people do this. Okay? In my country, elections have been called. They switched prime ministers. The one that was there that didn't do much for the country, really, he left so that he's out the equation, so that the party could have a better chance of winning. But that party's still going to get replaced. It's going to get replaced. Why? The people said you did not fulfill. Now you're trying to do all these projects when it was election year. You're trying to pave the roads and all that shit. Fuck you. Okay? And you will say, well, if they elect a different government, that government might be worse. Well, the American people elected a different government, Trump. So far, he's not worse than Biden. He's just basically doing the same things Biden's doing. But the point is, they replaced that government. That government didn't work. The American people said, you didn't work. You failed us. And now Trump, way before his term is over, already, the American people are saying, you failed us. So if red didn't work and blue doesn't work, you know what the American people need to do? They need to form their own government. It's time to take back your own power. If the government that's there is corrupt, then it needs to be replaced. And the American people backed people who promised to replace it. But what are they replacing it with? More tyranny, more absolutism, more illegalism. So they need to be replaced. And they will be. The American people will ensure that. And it's time that red and blue comes together. People who supported the government, people who support the opposition. Whatever country you're in, it's time you come together because they're not addressing your needs. They're not addressing you. They're going with a worldwide agenda, a worldwide plan that keeps other countries in check. And anytime a country starts to free itself from that plan, that country is attacked. That's what's happening in Venezuela. This whole thing in Venezuela is because Venezuela holds the oil reserves. They have the patents on it. It's ours, their ownership. This is the same thing companies do to artists. When artists get the ownership of their brand, all of a sudden, I remember Floyd Mayweather with Top Rank, how that Jew, how he attacked Floyd and he started saying, demonizing him because he was no longer under him and he wasn't being able to use him as a slave. Which, by the way, I just wanted to just put out there that slavery was actually assisted by, once again, these Jews. The people who were trading the slaves at the Gold Coast and at Ghana and all these places weren't Arabs. They were Jews. Yes, Jews. Okay? They've been behind a lot of evil things in this world. This particular sect of Jews. And they are in cohorts with the Freemasonry, with the Illuminati. They're all in cahoots with each other. They're all under Satan. I'm not talking about this Jewish guy who is protesting here. I'm not talking about him. Okay, let's keep it moving. All right, so the one more thing I got to talk about, I'm 46 minutes in. I didn't know I was going to talk that long, guys. I really didn't. There's one more thing I got to do, and that has to do with our little fun thing. So I've extended the date of the competition to the end of this week. Okay? Oh, this is awesome. So the Restore the Snyderverse competition that we had, because I just didn't have time yesterday. I'm working all the time, so I didn't have time to really advertise the thing, to put it out there. A lot of people like what I'm doing, but I haven't gotten a lot of participants. I'm looking for participants to join. Even myself, I'll put in a video soundtrack very soon. I just don't have the time. So we're going to extend it all the way through this week, maybe into next week. Now, you guys asked me about prizes, where we're going to get prizes. Well, it's really mostly bragging rights for the world to see your stuff. What I want to do is put people who could be potential sponsors or people who could potentially employ you for work. So that's just why it's so important that you showcase your art. If I need to carry this thing on until the end of the month, so be it. But I really want to keep this alive and keep it going. I saw the post that you guys put out yesterday. It was really wonderful. It was wonderful to see Zach put out post as well. And, talking about the Snyderverse and how memorable it was for him and so on. But we really need to keep this momentum going, because I think that my contribution to it is trying to have you guys have a ball, have a blast, showcase your skills, express yourselves. I want you to feel more empowered. I want you to feel stronger every time. I want this to be something positive more than a negative, more than talking about the naysayers, more than talking about things you don't like. Let's talk about things we like. Let's make this into something positive. So that's what I want to do. So that's the intent of it. I know I'm just one little guy out there in the speck of the deep blue sea. I see a lot of you showing appreciation to the posts. I see a lot of you, liking the stuff that I'm doing, but I still haven't gotten the participants to be able to push this forward. And I really want to do that with you guys. So hopefully we could advertise it on Lord Cool J's channel and some other channels, and just try to keep it going. I think it's a positive thing. I think it's something that allows people to do their creativity and so on. So if it's a positive thing, I want to push it. I want to say, though, that there's a lot of people in Palestine and Gaza that's heavy on my heart. The people in Congo, the people in war-torn areas, the people in Ukraine, who are, a lot of civilians who have nothing to do with this, the behavior and stuff they're suffering. And so I would love to see that work out in China. China is forcing some people to have its one China policy. Taiwan and the Uyghur, we hear about it all the time. The Uyghurs resisting. They're saying, no, we don't want, the separatists are trying to form their own identity. They want to hold their own identity. It feels almost the same like Israel saying you need to pledge allegiance to Israel, otherwise no. And it seems like China took, I don't know, because of wars, it took the land or whatever with the Uyghur. I don't know what's going on with the Uyghur and Taiwan particularly. But I understand that the need, what China is trying to do is trying to keep its strength and its strength is in everybody being on the same page with allegiance to China versus a war on its border, which the United States will take an opportunity to attack China with. And this is what the U.S. is doing. And this is where the Uyghur and the Taiwanese, it seems as if they, need to play ball. But what I would say is that I think that I understand the right to self-determination, the right to secession. And, Crimea, for example, is part of Ukraine, whether, they say it's an independent state, but it just doesn't have leadership. And Russia took back Crimea, but say what you want, Crimea was part of Ukraine, which is why Ukraine doesn't want to give up Crimea, okay? The problem was that the Ukrainians were trying to basically flush out anything Russian. So the people in Crimea, the people in eastern Ukraine, they speak mostly Russian. The culture is Russia. And these people now are praying out, asking Russia to deliver them from the Ukrainians who were coming in, slaughtering them, killing them, raping them, etc. So that was part of the problem. Now, the neutral Ukrainian government that was there before 2014, whether they were corrupt or not, they were able to live in peace with the people in Crimea and eastern Ukraine because they never picked sides. And as the Chinese diplomat said so correctly, Ukraine needs to have friends with everybody. They're not supposed to pick sides. When you stay neutral on something, you don't get yourself involved in problems because you understand you need to be neutral. Take, for instance, Qatar. Qatar is as neutral as they come. They have good relations with Iran. They have good relations with the U.S. They have good relations with Israel. They try to have good relations with everybody. Qatar is saying, I am neutral on this stuff, but if I need to help work out agreements and stuff, I want peace, sure, right? Because Qatar is saying peaceful Middle East is what we want so we could prosper and do some stuff. Because anytime you get in a war, wars cost a lot of money. And usually coming out of a war, the countries that are involved in this heavy war, infrastructure and so on is destroyed. Now they have to borrow huge loans to rebuild the country, which means economically they fall. You see? So that's why war right now, the wars in Ukraine and the wars in Israel is bankrupting the United States of America. And the people who are suffering from this bankrupting are the citizens. The citizens have been suffering because of the war machine. This is why I think everybody agrees on this. Nobody wants war in the world because your economic prosperity and how things work out and how your lives live is contingent on no war. You see? This is why the countries in the world are so hesitant to try to go to war with Israel or bomb them or whatever. Because one, they think if they bomb Israel, America's going to strike back at them. And they don't want the economic ruins have to come out of economic ruin. But the truth of the matter is that hesitancy to take up a military action is what is causing this to continue to go on, is what is causing countries to get bankrupt, is what is causing these nations around Israel to suffer. It's important, if you're not going to engage in combat with Israel, that you do a trade embargo with them immediately. This is what the U.S. did with China and is still doing with China to some degree, a trade embargo. You need to do a trade embargo on Israel. Isolate it in the Middle East. Don't do any business with it. If the only person who's supplying them money and funds and business is the United States, fine. Cut the umbilical cord with them until they comply with all of the International Court of Justice suggestions. Secondly, you have to isolate America as well, because America is getting income and currency from doing trade with other countries, besides the taxes they get from the people. Now, this is how you destroy them from within. Now, the Israeli people say, I'm not fucking working. The Israelis, in form of protest, I'm taking to the streets, I'm striking, I'm not working. So no jobs, no income coming in from jobs there. All of a sudden, cash flow for the government disappears because, and for businesses, a lot of businesses are already crashed in Israel. The only reason they're surviving is because of the funding that America is giving them. Now, here's how this happens. If you start striking in America, if you stop working in America and start striking, now the businesses that usually had the money, particularly in the private sector, usually had the money to send arms or build arms or whatever. Now they're crippled because they need the manpower to do these things. You need the manpower to make the weapons. You need the manpower to now sending pieces of paper across to Israel. If the people in the treasuries and the people in stop working, the federal workers stop working, they say, oh, fuck it. We're not working. We're gone. Right? Elon Musk would like to go in there and do AI on that so they don't have to depend on people, but they stop working and they start striking. That's all it takes. To cripple America, you have to, and the Israel, and to make them comply, you need to, and this is how we got ceasefires, because Hezbollah was kicking Israel's ass. Hamas was kicking their ass. They were running out of weaponry. They just reloaded. What we, the people of the world, need to do is make these countries press a reset button. That's what needs to happen. And what these countries will want to do, their last option of desperation would be to turn on their citizens and literally nuke them. That's what they will do next. That would be the other option. They'll be like, we're not going to win this battle. I'm going to nuke everybody. That's what they will try and do. And the moment they try to do that, you arrest them because they've done the ultimate crime, which is genocide. And that can be done as a citizen's arrest where you storm the Capitol and you take it over. Or it can be done in the form of key people in high positions, removing them from power. Okay, this president is overdone his limits. They just arrest Donald Trump. Arrest him for treason, high treason, and you put him away. Whoever is, he's not going to be allowed to give the instruction for the codes to fire on his own nation as suicide. So that's very important. The other thing they may try to do is start a third world war, because the people has gotten to, so under the guise of war, they can wipe out all these people. But the moment they try to do that, again, the people need to storm the Capitol and hold these people accountable for treason, because they know what they're going to. It's an attack on the people. It's on the population. It's on you. So this game is going to end. It's going to be a bit bloody. Some of us are not going to survive it. But ultimately, in the end, this is only beginning, and it's about time you flexed your muscles and you showed people what you really are and what they need you, and they need you more than you need them. If they had automation on a high scale, they wouldn't need you as much, but they need you. Remember that. Okay, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am Christ I Am Disciple, and I thought I would share this. I see what's emerging. I see the resistance from the people in the United States of America. I also see the resistance that is not being publicized at all. They're trying to really lock that information down from the people in Israel. It's chaotic in Israel. You know, Netanyahu went to court very recently as well. He's on trial for certain blatant crimes he's committed. So he's on trial as we speak as well. And his health is not doing so well, but he sucks the devil's tail, so he'll survive. So now there's one more thing I need to say to you guys before I leave, okay? And this has to do with a free Palestine. This has to do with people's rights being reinstated. Just because, let's say we win the war in AIPAC, we get them registered as a foreign body, their influence is less in the government. Let's say we win in that, we get a free Palestine where Israelis and Palestinians live together in peace. Let's say somehow we squash the war with Iran. Let's say Russia and Ukraine, that's settled. Don't for 1 minute think that because it's peaceful, these people are not working in the background to wreak chaos and hell. They may have been disbanded in certain organizations, they may have been spread out across the world having to retreat. But just like the devil in the shadows, they're still plotting and planning. Okay? And you have to radically change some things. The one thing we need to stop being dependent on is banks. We need to cut ties with banks. Because unless the bank is an independent bank from the general circulation of banks, this is where they monopolize us, and this is where they take our money. Okay? We need to move away from mainstream Hollywood. And you know what's weird? What's weird about this is that I remember Christians talking about this, that Hollywood is a bad place and stuff. And Hollywood, man, we need to move away from Hollywood. I remember that a long time ago. And I didn't realize that the Christians were right, that Islam was right, that even the faithful Jews who more read the scriptures than, anything else, they're right as well. We have to move away, and it's already happening, by the way. It's decentralizing. We have places in Atlanta where they have their own movie studios and stuff. We have places in Texas now that are going to be formed. They're decentralizing it, and the reason is because Hollywood's sort of films and movies are a form of propaganda. Even I think people are moving away from centralized governments even. The world's changing, but certain people are trying to force the world to stay in the order that they had it. And is the world changing for the better? Well, at this present point in time, this battle is for the better. Of course, it could end up being worse. But this is what we need to do. All right. So that's what I've got for you guys. I am Christ, I am Disciple. I was supposed to get out of here earlier. This is an hour and something into the video. I hope you guys take this video and share it with as many people as possible. This was impromptu, so I didn't bother to share it. But God bless you all. To the wicked people out there who are trying to target other people, again, just know this. As easily as you target anyone who you think needs to be silenced, remember, the same can be done to you. Blessings to everybody. Have a blessed day. Stay empowered. Trust in God.